This is Ms. Pac Man for the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive if you're from Europe or anywhere that's not North America. So I guess this would be my first Genesis review then, wouldn't it? This is a pretty decent version of Ms. Pac Man. On the surface, you see that they try to improve the graphics a little bit, make them a little bit like kind of three-dimensional, make them kind of pop out at you more than your standard Ms. Pac Man graphics. And for the most part, the gameplay in the arcade mode, more on that later, and the sound effects are, basically the same. They still have those little cutscenes between a certain number of levels, like they do in the arcade too, just to keep it, I guess, a little authentic. Where the game gives you a little bit extra is you could choose like what kind of maze you want to do. You could choose, the arcade ones from the actual game. They have certain, they call them strange, I don't know why, but they're just like, various other mazes, and they have big mazes and small mazes. The only thing that I don't like about this game is the fact that they couldn't fit the entire maze on the screen at one time, ever. So, if you move from a lower portion of the maze to an upper portion of the maze, then the screen's going to scroll with you. And the bad thing about that is that the lives on the bottom and the points on the top will scroll with the rest of the maze. So at some points you won't be able to see your points or lives, which can affect your game. You can play your multiplayer, what you would expect would be two-player alternating. But they also have cooperative and competitive gameplay, I guess that's what they call them. Cooperative, just as you would think, is Ms. Pac Man and Pac Man at the same time. Two people controlling them, I guess, making it easier to progress through the game. Everything's basically the same, except with obviously two Pac-Man, two Pac people. Be politically correct here. The only thing that you wouldn't expect is that if one player gets a power pellet or whatever, the other player can't eat the ghost to get extra points. Only the player that got the power pellet can. The scrolling issue comes in with this again. If it's not as that big of a problem on regular size mazes. I haven't really tried it on the larger mazes. It probably would be a problem. But if one player is on the very bottom and one player is on the very top, since the whole maze isn't on the screen, you're not going to be able to see any of them. The scrolling thing is just going to center. This version of the game was published by, I don't know how you say it, is it Tengen or Tengen probably? That sounds right. Which I think is kind of like, weren't they owned by Atari or something? I don't know. They also have a version of this for the NES and the Super Nintendo. Maybe some others off the top of my head. I just know it's the Genesis, Super Nintendo, and NES. And basically all of them look the same, especially, the Super Nintendo and Genesis versions. And then obviously the NES version will be the one lacking in graphics. No, there's not really much to lack because it's Pac Man. Graphics are simple. Another addition, I guess, if you wanted to cheat, they have something called the Pac Booster, which increases Ms. Pac Man's speed, but it leaves all the ghosts going at the same slow speed. So if you just want to go straight through the game, not lose any lives, and try and rack up as many points as you possibly could, then you could turn this feature on. It has you could have it on all the time, or by pressing the A or C button. So overall, I'd say if you don't have a version of Ms. Pac Man somewhere on like a video game console, it would be worth it. You wouldn't be disappointed if you bought it. I got mine for like I think $3, and yeah, that's pretty worth it. And the store I bought it from is usually kind of overpriced, not horribly overpriced, but it's still worth it. I don't know, you could probably just get Ms. Pac Man on that arcade emulator. I forget what it's called. I have it, but I forget what it's called. But, you know, if you collect video games like I do, or, you know, you're looking for a console version of Ms. Pac Man, or specifically a Genesis version of Ms. Pac Man, then you can't go wrong with this. Like I said before, the only downside to the game is the whole idea of the scrolling. But it doesn't really affect the game that much. You can get used to it really easily. Also, if you want to have an interesting take on Pac Man with the multiplayer thing, it's something you usually don't see. If you want to try that out, then that'd be another good reason to get it. Sorry about the lack of videos for those of you that watch my videos regularly and expect a new one every once in a while. It's been like 2 weeks plus. And that's basically because I usually tend to make my videos when nobody else is home. That way, you know, I'm not bothering anybody, no one's bothering me, I don't get interrupted. Also, good luck to the Blackhawks who are advancing to the next round of the playoffs. I was at the game in which they clinched the series the other day, and it was probably the best hockey game I've ever attended. And, for my opinion on who I want them to play for the next series, all I say is Detroit sucks. And that means I want them to play Detroit. As usual, thanks for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe. Hopefully some more videos to come more regularly and consistently.